genuine thank you to the sponsors and local businesses who enable us to meet all the costs of this particular project. And I want to say thank you as well to Lions and to the team of people who worked so hard to make this event happen, not just this year, but over quite a number of years now. That hard work is very, very much appreciated. Biggest thank you, though, has to go to the many, many people, as you can see from the tribute boards behind me, many people who contribute to this cause. Fantastically generous response from people who come back to us year after year in many cases. And I'm delighted to say that this year, as in recent years, we've been able to raise in excess of £5,000 for our 3 local hospices who do so much good work in our area. So, no more talk from me for the moment, but without more ado, I'm going to ask Matt if he could step in and find the magic switch. Bravo, well done. And this is the point where we read out the names of all those featuring on our tribute lists. This is our Tree of Life list for 2023.
So these are the names we think particularly of this evening. Kenneth Nash, Veronica Sheridan, Stan Bowles, Gladys May Firth, John Firth, and Edna Firth. Ivy Kathleen Smith, William John Smith, Ella Empson, Jesse Empson, Jeff Calderback, George W. Button, Claire Forward, Patricia Lawrence, Jean Clayton, Tom Cassie Clayton, Eric Redshaw, June Marie Smith, Ben Smith, Daniel Kirk, Vera Kirk, Randolph Cropley, Nellie Cropley, Douglas Holdaway, Betty Holdaway, Rob Willard, Eileen Mayer, Stephen Vampu, Doreen Fidling, Nigel Fidling, Timothy William Stebbings, Hazel Patricia Jones, Neville Stewart, Jenny Stewart, Gordon Darling, Francis and Jim Knight, Edith and Frederick Smith, Francis Watkins, Noel Gordon Allen, Stanley Burnett, Doris Evelyn Burnett, Roy Burnett, John Leslie Blakey, Archie Burnett.
Derek Taylor Lee, Audrey Lee, Gordon Newsham, Tony Simpson, Margaret Simpson, Mary Leggett, Carol Lovely, Faye Stanley, Steve Stanley, Gordon J, Terry Day, Cyril Spin, Fred Walker, Ivy Walker, Doris Whiting, David Morby, Sylvia Morby, Colin Senior, George Oliver, Peter James Oliver, Peggy Brammer, Bruce Bell, Harold McMaskell, Audrey Maskell, Robin and June Martin, Fred and Liz Walters, Sharon Elizabeth Hughes, Joyce Barlow, Shirley Wood, John Bennett, Robert Blackburn, Edna Barber, Joe Fish-Collier, Guy Stockton, Christine Emerson, Roger McNamara, Annie McNamara, Olga Mann, Nana Lewin, Andrei Stanislavski, Grace Georgina Rowson, Derek Arthur Rowson, Barbara Morris, Lindsay Marie Burgess, Angela Andy Kisby, Dennis Kisby.
Mo and Shirley Wilkinson, Elaine Chantry, Barbara Shannon, William Bill Gray, Sheila Gray, Pauline Ann Holford, David John Myers, Leslie Lawrence Twinton, Bill Fielder, Gladys Newstead, Bruce Duckworth, Patricia Utley, Joan Utley, Kim Knight, Pam Tyrrell, Fred Gravel, Mary Gravel, Alex Gravel, Fen Holdaway Willett, Emma McGinley, Tom Guilfoyle, Ruby Caton, Tom Caton, Ada Close, Les Close, Bettine Nicholson, Margaret Coggan, Bill Clift, Edward Bell, John Waterfall, Jean Waterfall, Graham Martin, Dorothy Scott, Tony Scott, Iris Cross, Sid Shepherd, Natalie Ann Reynolds, Michael William Hubbard, Ed Hall, David W. Keeling, Doris E. Keeling. Pam Jacklin, Carl Jacklin, John Sadler, Philip and Cissy Church, Jimmy and Ruby Walker, Molly Howell.
Albert Humphrey, Cicely Humphrey, Terence Walters, Peter Walters, Ian Neil Clark, Lion and Squadron Leader Bert Gardner, Amy Beatrice Darby, Peggy Irene Smith, Chris Swift, Diane Swift, Charles Walden, Elaine Chantry, Ron Paul, Marguerite Paul, Carol Smith, William Meyer, Anita Longden, Mr. and Mrs. R.A.P. Barker, David Courtman, Lucy Danby, Dave Kojak Baxter, Margaret Ledyard, David Law, Michael Law, John and Pauline Beattie, Frank Cross, Francis Belton, Mick Hodgson, Maisie Elvin, Roy Elvin, Ronald Clark, Thomas McLaughlin, Edith McLaughlin, Leonard Perkins, Vera Perkins, David White, Paul White, Walter and Olive Holmes, Steve Diamond, Peter Shaw, Evelyn Shaw, Lillian Yates, Wilfred Yates, Olive Peacock, Ken Peacock, Barry Waite, Mr. and Mrs. K.A. Towler, Tony Monaghan, Gladys Irene Tremere, John Franklin Shaw, Norma Shaw, Christine Ann Lenton, Edna Mary Gowing, Martin Lethal, Gemma Louise Weaver, Kimberly Amber Tilbury, Albert Espin, Joan Espin, John Espin, Lucy Roberts, Michael Toyne, John Toyne, J. and E. Perry, Jean Gibbons, Dave Bell, Leslie Carter, Phyllis Carter, Dorothy Carter.
Cynthia Richardson, Graham Richardson, Carol Richardson, Judy Lowe, Ian Sleeth, Valerie Sleeth, Sam Sleeth, John Eaton, Chris Joe, Tony Mowbray, Mavis Mowbray, Jim Portis, Ivy Portis, David Portis, Michael Aston, Mary and James Barrons, Vera Aston, Vanessa Jane McFarlane, Ken Spencer, Karen Freeman, Peter Dowse, Gladys Martin, Mary Crow, Philip Crow, John Crow. Kenneth Kelsey, Donald Kelsey, Janet Kelsey, Derek Kelsey, Ralph and Emma Kelsey, Doreen and Edwin Spate, Dorothy Tucker, Peggy Willis, Bernard Willis, David MacDonald, Jill Wheeler, Ted and Vera Hudson, Margaret Rose Johnson, Peter Frank Harrison, David Big Dave Salabanks, Joan Robertson, Michael Burton, Ron Brooks, Doreen Brooks, Joan Brooks, Bert Scott, Terry Kelly. Adrienne Ann Bark, Natalie Christina Bark, Alan Archer, Elsie May Crow, Baby Liam Greenfield, David Birchall, Claire Birchall, Fred, Hilda and Paul Schofield, James, Nora and Teresa Birchall, Jeffrey Brown, Harry Cooksey, Harry and Edna Ely,
Sylvia Watts, Cyril Watts, Jack Gosling, Jill Gosling, Christine Chester, Francis Bennett, Fred Bennett, Carol Duckett, Barry Billingham, Dennis Stedman, Iris Benton, Debbie Ward, Barry Bushell, Harold Ireland, Graham and Margaret Tooth, Robin and June Martin, Fred and Liz Walters, John and Terry Williams, Mavis Sargent, Reg Sargent, Roy Parsons, Trudy Taylor, Glenn Stevenson, Lewis Stevenson, John Palin, Michael Palin, Mark Haywood, William and Winifred Stitt, Norman Stitt, Peg Pickering, Kathy Israel, Michael Beard, Derek Oates, Wendy Oates, Ian Oates, Margaret Eileen Martin, Albert Henry Martin, Emma Louise Barley, Mark Russell, Christopher George Spencer, Pam and Vic Wilkinson, Olive and Jack Holmes, Jim Huntley, David Stewart, Jean Mitchell, John Ravenhall, Joyce Boundy, Robin Knott, Matthew Weston, John Corby, Pam Corby, David Kirk, Harry Kirk, Emily and Anthony Urbanavage, Esther Thompson, George Bullen, John Nurams, Anna Spray, Sylvia Davis, Jack and Betty Chamberlain, David Raitt, David Mackay, Betty Ranyard, Alan Reynolds, Alan Toon, Charles Hall, Joyce Hall, and finally, Michael Skamer.
And so ends the list of names, all of which are there on this board. Every one of them loved dearly. Every one of them missed in so many different ways. And this is a wonderful way in which, at least once a year, to have a special remembrance of people who were so close and so dear and so special to us. So before we end, let's, within the noise of the traffic, have a moment of silence for ourselves as we remember those whom we love and who have died. May they rest in peace. Thank you.